William has fallen ill and needs daily care. You should help us. My mother-in-law screamed that way on the phone.
Let's let bygones be bygones and help them.
Huh? My husband said such a thing to me. Have you forgotten how much I suffered from being bullied by your mother? I can't do it with you anymore. My name is Mary. I'm a 39-year-old office worker. I have been married to my husband Robin for 8 years. We live happily with our 5-year-old son, Jake, and our family of 3. But it hasn't been smooth sailing since we got married. It was when Robin and I had just gotten married.
Mom and Dad want us to come over. When should we go?
Anytime is fine.
Then let's go this coming 3-day weekend.
With that being said, my husband and I headed to my parents-in-law's house. Robin, I'm so glad you came. My mother-in-law greeted us, looking pleased. William, it's been a while.
Mary, hi. I haven't seen you since the wedding.
Yeah, indeed. Mary, would you like to help me? Yeah, of course. I rushed to the kitchen when my mother-in-law called me. I had intended to help her right away, but I was late because I had to greet my father-in-law. Then, my mother-in-law said, You are a little late. Normally, you should come before your mother-in-law calls you. She accused me of being late. I'm sorry. You have made a bad impression on me from the very first time. My mother-in-law stared at me with a scary face. She didn't look like that when she greeted me at the wedding. She seemed so kind. Even though I went there after my mother-in-law called me, I was late because I was greeting my father-in-law. I'm sure my mother-in-law saw that too. I felt bad and prepared tea and tea cakes and took them to the dining room. Then, the 4 of us talked, but my mother-in-law spoke to me in a spiky way. When is Mary going to quit her job? I don't plan to quit at this point.
You have no intention of quitting. That's strange.
Huh? The in-laws suddenly became stern.
If you're a wife, you should go into the home and support your husband.
That's right. You didn't do your duty as a wife at all before. You can't move quickly at a time like this because you have a job and have pride as a businesswoman. You can't have it both ways, so don't do it. And Robin, you need to raise your wife.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was upset that my husband didn't talk back to my in-laws. A husband would normally protect his wife. Then my in-laws made another surprising statement. Stay at our home for 3 days starting today.
Yes, that's a good idea. We will train you.
I looked at my husband. I appealed with my eyes, thinking of course he would say no. But my husband only looked at me with an awkward, bitter smile.
Well then, let's get on with cleaning the house.
I didn't say anything about staying over yet. When I said that, my in-laws glared at me. You don't have the right to refuse.
What kind of uneducated people raise such an insane person?
I was angry at my in-laws for talking to me like that. You don't have to talk to me like that.
Mary, don't do that.
Robin, you should normally speak up for your wife. When I said that, my husband fell silent. But then my in-laws interrupted again.
What a daughter-in-law! It seems she really needs some education.
I wonder how freely and selfishly she was raised. Please stop it. That's enough. My parents raised me with proper discipline. They don't deny someone and force their ideas on them. Your statements are much more insane and selfish.
What did you say?
You are so cocky. The next moment, my mother-in-law poured cold tea on me.
Mary, are you okay?
What are you doing? You look like you're getting boiled up, so I'm cooling you down. That's too much. I'm going home. Wait! I told you to go do your chores. I won't. I grabbed my bag and headed for the door.
Mary, you don't need to leave.
Whose side are you on?
Of course yours.
Are you sure?
Of course I'm sure. So let's go back to the living room. My mom and dad will forgive you if you apologize now.
The moment my husband said that, I left my in-laws' house and started the car. There was no way my husband could have said that. If he was on my side, he would rather have my in-laws apologize to me. When I arrived home that day, I received a lot of calls and messages from my husband.
Please come back. What was wrong with my words?
Sighing at my husband, who sent many such messages, I called him.
Mary, you finally called back. Why did you leave?
You're fundamentally wrong. If you were on my side, you wouldn't have asked me to apologize to your parents. I will never see your parents again. If you want to stay married to me, you need to make sure that I don't have to deal with your parents at all.
No, no way.
If you can't promise me that, then don't come home. This is the apartment I've been renting for a long time. When I said that, he climbed up. That's how I feel. With that, I hung up the phone. The next day, he came home. He told me I didn't have to see my in-laws anymore.
No matter what my mom and dad do to you, I would protect Mary.
I decided to trust my husband for the time being. He really kept me away from my in-laws. This allowed me to go through my days without stress. According to my husband, my in-laws complained a lot, but he still tried his best to stop them because he did not want to divorce me. My in-laws were going to invite a lot of relatives over for Thanksgiving and New Year's, and they were going to make me do all the food and banquet preparations. My husband, of course, was forced to participate, but his parents complained about it every time. They were talking badly about me to my relatives. I don't intend to meet them anymore, but if it is too bad, I will sue them for defamation of character. 3 years have passed since I separated from my in-laws, and I got pregnant. Naturally, I avoided contact with my in-laws during my pregnancy. In fact, I thought it was a time when I should not meet them at all. Then, on the day of the birth, for some reason, my parents-in-law came to witness the birth. Of course, the nurse refused to let them in. It was my first time giving birth, and when I heard that my in-laws had come, I was instantly less excited. Why are your parents here? I was angry at my husband that I forgot the pain of labor.
No, I didn't tell them that it was close to the due date or anything. But they've been calling me every day. I didn't have time to answer the phone today to take you to the hospital. So maybe they came in anticipating that you were in labor.
I was taken aback by my in-laws' persistence, and I was so distracted by them that the actual birth went by without me feeling any pain or anything. When I picked up my newborn baby, he was really cute and angelic. My husband was also holding him up happily. In the hospital room, my parents were also there, and we were having a friendly conversation while holding up my child. But then, my parents-in-law came in. Why can't we hold the child first?
Where are the wife's parents holding the child first?
My parents-in-law shouted at me in the hospital room. I was stunned by their unreasonableness as usual. My parents were also surprised, and my in-laws said, "Well, that's a cute baby." They picked up the baby roughly with a noisy voice. Then the baby cried out loudly. "Why does he cry when I hold him?"
Then let me hold the baby.
William roughly picked up the baby from Grace, but he cried again, and my father-in-law looked frustrated, handed the baby to my husband. I knew he was a brat, just like the mother who gave birth to him.
I will have to teach him a lesson.
That's what my parents-in-law said. I couldn't believe them saying such unreasonable things when my parents were also here. I was emotional because I had just given birth. It's none of your business. I mean, I told you I cut off ties with you. Don't come here without my permission, you piece of shit. Get the hell out of here. When I shouted that, my in-laws froze in shock. Get the hell out of here. As I kept saying that without stopping, my husband felt that it was indeed a bad idea and took my parents-in-law out of the hospital room. My parents were surprised that I was so furious.
You said it well. That was cool.
But they praised me. About an hour later, my husband returned looking very tired. Apparently, my in-laws had taken out all their frustrations about me on my husband. I was grateful to my husband for stopping them, but I don't want to see them again for the rest of my life. I don't even want my son to see them. I have since then, of course, stopped seeing my in-laws, and I made sure that they never saw Jake either when he was with me, but I allowed my husband to take Jake with him. Of course, even at New Year's and other gatherings, I made it a priority to take my son to my parents' house. 5 years passed in the blink of an eye as we spent our time in this way. Then one day, my husband asked me,
I heard that my dad has fallen ill.
Oh, so?
He wants to move in with us because he needs care.
I'm worried about your father's illness, but I can't live with him.
No, why?
I immediately said no, but my husband wasn't going to back down this time.
Mom and Dad are in real trouble. I'm going to call Mom now so we can discuss it properly, okay?
And then, my husband started calling my mother-in-law out of the blue. Hey! My husband is talking to my mother-in-law about something. Then he puts the phone on speaker. Mary, it's been a while. I know you heard from Robin, but could you do me a favor? Grace, don't you remember how you and William have been behaving? William has fallen ill and needs care. You should help us. My mother-in-law yells that way on the phone. I still can't get through to her.
Let's let bygones be bygones and help them.
My husband said such things to me. Have you forgotten how much I suffered from being bullied?
Yes, I remember that. But don't people usually try to help when they hear that the husband's father has fallen ill?
No. If he is in such need of care, she should leave it to professionals.
No, but money and stuff like that.
Is your father in such a bad state? When and how did he get sick? Where does he go to the hospital? The more he slurred, the more I began to think something was fishy. My mother-in-law was still on the phone. Just cooperate with me, she's screaming.
Sorry, Mom. I will call you back,
he said and hung up the phone. And he looked at me awkwardly. Can you give me a proper explanation of your father-in-law's illness? Also, maybe your father didn't collapse at all.
No, my father is sick.
Tell me about the hospital your father goes to.
Well, you'd better think about that anyway.
He went to his room. I peeked into his room, trying not to get cold. He seemed to be on the phone with his mother again.
No, I knew Mary wouldn't be easy to persuade. She doesn't seem to be inclined to change her mind by just lying about Dad's illness. Don't worry, she won't divorce me. I think she will give up once she lives with all of us.
After my husband said that, I heard my mother-in-law's voice. Even from here, I can clearly hear my mother-in-law's high-pitched voice. Jake is being well raised by us. Now, all we have to do is get Jake on our side and get that wife over here. Then we can make her our slave and have her do all the housework. And of course, let her keep her job and spend all the money she earns on us.
I know. I'm just getting sick and tired of my small allowance.
As soon as my husband said that, something snapped inside me, and I went straight into my husband's room. What are you doing?
Why are you here, Mary?
Because you were suspicious. But more than that, I knew you weren't on my side. I guess you lied to me about William collapsing. I can't do this with you anymore. Let's get a divorce.
Divorce? Why so suddenly?
I heard what you said on the phone earlier. If you and your mother are going to try to enslave me, we can't stay married. I know you've done your best in the past to keep me in between the boards, but you've still let me down many times, and I'm not going to let you get away with it this time. I will definitely divorce you no matter what.
Oh no.
My husband's face turns pale. My mother-in-law is still on the phone. Hey, Robin, what's going on? I hear her voice. I take my husband's phone from him. I'm divorcing Robin. I said just that and hung up the phone. And I immediately started packing my bags. My husband tried to stop me, but I ignored him and packed my bags. I had my son's luggage packed and ready to go too. My husband kept saying something like,
Wait a minute.
and
Let's talk about it.
but I didn't even want to have a conversation anymore. I just told him, let's communicate the rest through our lawyer, and got into the car with my son. Then I went back to my parents' house. My parents were upset when they heard what happened. A few hours later, my in-laws and husband came to my parents' house. What are you doing? You can't just ask for a divorce out of the blue.
It's beyond insane.
My in-laws saying that way. At that moment, my father stood in front of them.
You guys are getting carried away just because we've kept quiet until now. It's you who are insane. You are making my daughter your slave? If you had a daughter, how would you feel if they told you that when you visited her? Let me give you a better analogy. How would you feel if your son Robin was being harassed by his boss on a daily basis at work? You would absolutely hate that. That's what you're trying to do to my daughter. And you're the insane ones. If you don't understand this explanation, you're really stupid.
When my father snapped like that, my in-laws instantly quieted down. They were a bunch of dim-witted, unimaginative people. So when he finally explained it to them in a way they could understand, they seemed to realize how insane they were. But it was already too late. I had already given up on my husband. I confronted him with the divorce papers I had prepared on the way to my parents' house. He was surprised, but he must have realized that it can no longer be helped. He meekly signed the papers on the spot. However, my husband, who was a who, said something outrageous afterward.
Actually, my mom and dad failed in the stock market and got into debt. I no longer can avoid a divorce, but would you help us pay off that debt?
I was quite taken aback by my husband saying such a thing. Are you really that stupid? It seems you're the worst one. We are strangers now, so why should I pay someone else's parents' debt? You have to pay me child support after you leave me. I'm the one who gets money from you.
Oh no!
I was at a loss for words as my husband's face turned blue. I'm done talking to you. If you don't want me to call the police, then get the hell out of my house. My ex-in-laws and ex-husband left the house with pale faces. After that, I successfully got a divorce. I also asked for child support, and it is supposed to transfer money to me monthly. My ex-husband has returned to his parents' house and is exhausted from paying child support and paying off his parents' debts. But he deserves it. If he had just taken care of me instead of his parents, none of this would have happened. I pity my ex-husband, But now I'm happily living at home with my son and parents. My son didn't seem to be attached to my parents-in-law at all, because he just thought they were old people who gave him sweets a lot but had bad karma. I was relieved to see that even at his age, he's able to distinguish between people. I will continue to do my best as a single mother, and will take good care of my son. The in-laws are really rude and have bad characters, and your husband was also a terrible person. I'm glad that Mary has cut ties with them. I hope you and your sweet son and your parents are happy together from now on.